nice fish, can
No, not down here.
we? No. That means the spring fish will be in back.
That's right. Less stress during the winter.
Do you want to introduce us? I don't know them.
Oh, this is Roger Becker,
Hello, Roger.
Jimmy Fisher,
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you also.
Kathy Welch, Judy
Hi,
Fisher.
Kathy.
Hi.
Thank you.
Tom Wood, LaPaz.
Nice to meet you.
You also.
Sorry. You guys have met?
Okay.
No, I'm a stranger down there. Where I live.
Maybe someone else coming or not?
Yeah, but he's not a board member, so.
Okay.
This is a joint meeting, not a fire territory meeting.
Yeah, I mean.
No.
Correct.
So
Yes.
he is a board member for the
Yeah,
town.
so, yeah, community meetings.
No, you're fine that you're not the only one who thought that initially. Steve, are you okay if I stop sharing that agenda for now? You're welcome. Mhm. Yes,
Or we wait for another person?
yeah, we'll wait for Ryan to get here before we officially call everything to order.
Where do you live at?
I live on the corner of 7th and Oak.
Okay.
1 mile north of Walmart,
All right.
little white house.
Been there for a long time?
10 years.
Okay. He called me back. I had it on mute. Didn't.
He went to the town hall and didn't find anybody.
Hello, I see a missed your call. Fire station. All right.
You called it.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
good.
Yeah, and this time of day, traffic's pretty bad. You know, rush hour traffic. So Steve, you normally take a couple days to drive down there? What part of Florida do you stay in? No good.
Oh,
Okay, our crew's all here this evening. We'll go ahead and get started for the Wednesday, January 14th joint meeting with the town of LaPaz and North Township. The first item on the agenda is the 2025 annual report review regarding the fire territory.
Does the town want to go call their meeting to order as well?
Sorry.
I can call the town's meeting to order also.
Okay. Per the interlocal agreement, we are presenting the information. No official action is needed. It's just that both of the participating units are supposed to have the information presented to them prior to January 31st. So each of you have a folder with the annual financial report in it. It is a long document. We will only cover the sections that apply to the territory. So on page 2, you will note that the special fire territory general line item, which I do also have it up here on the screen. Steve, do you want me to share it to Zoom for you? I think I can. So it shows that the beginning cash and investment balance in the territory general fund was $14,000. That was a CD that was previously held by the fire fund. But once the fire fund no longer existed, really, then we transferred that over to the territory. Leaving?
Not if somebody else comes in to take it.
Okay. Let me see, Steve, that may have shared it for you. Okay, you're welcome. Okay, now let me get over here. Okay, so beginning balance was $14,000. The receipts show $1,851,759.73. That is slightly skewed, which we'll get into further in the report, because that number also included the receipts into the fund. So when the territory took over, we transferred from the township fire fund, the township EMS fund, and the township cumulative fund. We transferred over $599,173.14, and then $50,000 from the town of LaPaz went into the territory general fund. So that $1.8 million includes those initial transfers in. We dispersed $695,593.45, leaving as of December 31st, 2025, $1,170,166.28 in the territory general fund. In the territory equipment replacement fund, that began at $0 as of January 1st, 2025. We receipted in $81,995.67 from property taxes, dispersed $0 out of that fund, so that remains at $81,995.67. Okay, let me scroll down here. There is a blank page on the annual reports. Okay. Okay. On page 4, it begins about halfway down, and this just details what all was receipted in to the territory general fund. So it shows general property taxes. We receipted $1,057,546.91 from financial institution tax, $13.95 from the vehicle and excise tax, $56,021.67, and CVET tax, $130.40. For EMS fees, this is the money that we receipted in 2025 from billing. So these are the billing monies from EMSMC. It was $86,039.93. The federal, state, and local reimbursement, $50,000, that was the county reimbursement for the grant, the public safety grant, is where that 50. Actually, no, I take that back. My apologies. That is the town of LaPaz, the $50,000 at the beginning of the year. The public safety grant had to go into the general fund. Earnings on investments and deposits, so this is money earned from the CDs, $1,024.73. Refunds and disbursements of $1,809. I believe I can tell you exactly what that was for. There was a banking discrepancy on a check where the bank had pulled an erroneous amount on a written check, and that was $9 of that. And $1,800 of that was because Liberty Mutual sent repeated statements for $1,800. I paid one of them, and then they reimbursed it and said, no, you didn't owe us that. That was a mistake. So that was money that I receipted back into the fund as well. Let me see. So that brings the total receipts to the $1,851,759.73 that we discussed on page 2. The Territory Equipment Replacement Fund, we brought in from property taxes $77,860.51. From the financial institution tax, $1.03. The vehicle and excise tax, $4,124.53. And CVET tax, $9.60, bringing the total to the $81,995.67. Again, that is what is reflected on page 2. So those are the total receipts. Next, we will discuss the total disbursements, which begin on page 7. Let me get over there, Steve. There we go. Okay. So from the Territory General Fund, for personal services, so this is wages, employee benefits such as the HSA funding and PERF, we dispersed $244,523.08. On supplies, these are things like office supplies, the fuel, station supplies, maintenance things, related to the station and those supplies that we would be purchasing, $98,385.65. For services and charges, so this is where everything is all kind of lumped in together. The utilities, the phone bill, repair and maintenance on the trucks, and let's see, professional services. So that was like paying EMSMC, what their fee was for handling the billing. Insurance costs, so the insurance for the trucks and the building and all of that. That falls under services and charges, and we spent $235,841.62. And then on the capital outlays, we spent $116,843.10. Those were going to be that was not the Lucas device, that's what we used the rainy day fund for. Hang on, guys, sorry. You go through all of this and then you space it.
Would that be part of the purchase of the ambulance?
No, we haven't paid anything on that yet. Let me find it. It was in December, I believe.
The medical, the cot and load system?
That's what it was, thank you.
Yeah.
The cot and load system and the heart monitor. Oh my goodness. Thank you for that. That was spent out of the capital outlays. So that total was $116,843.10. And that brought the total disbursements from the Territory General Fund to $1,438,255.27. although, no, I'm sorry, guys. $695,593.45. The total, the 1.4, that also included all of the township and all of that as well. Pages 9 applies to the township, 10 as well. So page 11 is where it picks up again, and that breaks down the specific disbursements for each line item out of the budget. I don't know that it's necessary to go through all of these in detail because it's basically reading people's names and what they made from the township. So we'll just cover the total amounts. So again, total personal services ended at $244,523.08. This was wages, this was the HSA, paying the taxes, paying for perf, all of that falls under there, as well as the reimbursement for the fire department for their contracted amount for 2025. Supplies, again, this breaks down who all was paid for supplies, and certainly if anybody has any questions about any of them, I do try to put some details next to some of them so that way you would know. For instance, the Danny Piles Bless This Rescue, that was for shirts after the territory took effect, so that way we had shirts that reflected the appropriate logo. The hoax graphics, those were for the truck logos, so putting the territory logo on the trucks after January 1st of 2025. Wex Bank, the $8,282, that's for fuel. Those are our cards for fuel purchases for the fire department. So total supplies ended at $60,012.41. Services and charges, so a lot of this is utilities, this is insurance, this is repairs and maintenance is the huge factor of this and why there are so many different names, because different companies are used for repair and maintenance. Bremen Fire Extinguisher, checking the fire extinguishers and all of that. Let's see, John Lampkins is included on there for instructor fees for some of the classes that the firefighters are going through. We've got the Marshall County Auditor's Office on there, and those are for the dispatch fees that we have to pay to the county each year. Let's see, what else? We've got Surf Internet on there. That is our Wi-Fi for the station. T-Mobile is on page 13. That is for having internet access on the ambulances. So that way they are able to transmit information. Any questions about any of those names that you see on there about what they would be for? Because I can certainly.
That is fire gear, some tools, equipment, the fan that we purchased recently.
Yep. So our total services and charges ended at $274,214.86. And then the capital outlays fund, you see the only one on there is Stryker Sales. That is who we purchased the cot, load system, heart monitor, and all of that was $116,843.10, bringing the territory general fund total expenditures to $695,593.45. And then page. There. We're close, but no. Yeah. Is there something that we've already covered that you want to ask about? Or do you want me to go through the rest of it and then? Okay. Page 19. This just breaks down, again, it shows you what we transferred specifically, the transfers out of the EMS firefighting and cumulative fund into the territory general fund. So that just clearly depicts what happened there. And then we go into the capital assets. Judy, I'll have to get another copy of that for you, but in the meantime, I don't know if you want to share with Steve, since you're sitting next to one another. But I did include a copy of the capital asset ledger for each of the town board members as well. It would be after, just a separate document in the folder. And that just shows what the township currently holds for assets. Anything valued over $5,000 as an individual item is listed on the capital asset ledger. So, for instance, like, we don't have gear on there, even though when we purchase gear, it's an expensive purchase, but one specific item, one coat, one set of boots is not valued over $5,000. So it's primarily the vehicles and the SCBA's that were just purchased in 2025, we've added on there. The ambulance,
Load system.
yes, we've got the cot
Heart
load
monitor.
system, heart monitor, the battery fan that was just purchased is listed on there. And that details, and it will show you on there when the item was purchased, the value at the time of purchase, whether or not the asset has been dispensed of, i.e. we no longer possess, when that happened, and shows the depreciation for each of those items. And that is basically all reflected on page 20 here, just on a much grander scale, because our ledger breaks it down by item. This doesn't, this just breaks it down by category. So whether or not it's land, or building, or improvements, machinery. Obviously, the bulk of our items are under machinery, equipment, and vehicles. Let's see here. Any questions about any of those items?
Good.
Okay. So we'll discuss that further in the township portion, because that's actually a township asset, but that is the cemetery. Do you remember me going through the training earlier in the year, and the state said we have to list our cemetery as a capital asset? And we all inquired, how in the world are we supposed to value that? And they said, put $100. We have 3 cemeteries, $300. So, you're welcome. Okay, page 21. The accounts payable item, that's more applicable to the township as a whole. I think a little bit of that is, one of them is the utility bill and one is some medical supplies. And we carry that over because the services were handled in 2025, but we do not receive the invoice and pay it until 2026. The accounts receivable, $74,726. At the time that this report was generated, that was the number that was on our EMSMC portal as money that was still outstanding from billing. So that is where that number comes from, which today would no longer be that number because that is ever updating. That, I believe, is the end of the report as it pertains to the territory. Any? That would be on page 2. And I can scroll back there for you, Steve. Here we go. So it does include in there the $14,000, which is the CD, but the balance, see it says in ending cash and investment balance, is $1,170,166.28. So without the $14,000 on there, then we ended the year at $1,156,166.28. You're welcome.
Any questions or comments from the boards?
I have none.
Okay. Public comment?
No, okay.
No comment?
Good of the order. Anything that you want to discuss now, or do you want to discuss it in the next meeting?
So that was number 2 and number 3?
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I skipped over number 2.
And you're only looking at that's the joint, or just the township agenda,
Oh.
not, yeah.
I didn't get the
You
other
don't
one.
have the other one. I
Okay.
apologize. I'm so sorry.
So and since the fire territory is not here, but obviously you guys would all make that up. There was some question about some of our stats, and I wanted to post those online for the public to see anyway. It's just taken a little while to get everything put together with the reporting system and such. So for the total for the year, 510 incidences that we were dispatched to. Going through some of the pages, there's a breakdown of calls per day of the week. Really doesn't vary a whole lot. Below that graph is an incident count by hour of the day, so you guys kind of have a feeling of when most of the calls take place. After 7 a.m. for the most part, and prior to 11 p.m. And then further down, there is a count of incidents by incident type. That's one of the horizontal bar graphs. The big number, 353, that's medical calls and crashes, that there was no hazardous materials involved or extrication or anything like that. Everything from severe weather, false alarms, good intent calls, like a CO alarm maybe going off would be a good intent call, or oddly enough, this year we had 2 or 3 different cat and tree calls that people wanted us to come try and get. I had one about 10 years ago and then 2 this past year. Down by the count of fire by incident types. So there's not a good way to list those out. It's just kind of a total number. The biggest one, 13, is structure fires. NIFRS is our reporting, what is required by the state and the feds that we report. Well, all of the different numbers or different kinds of fires have a different NIFRS number, and that's why these are split up by mobile property, but meant to be stationary, so a mobile home. Mobile property, commercial, mobile property, personal, so a vehicle fire. So those are all broke out. The number 13, the big one, is structure fires. Now those are our fires and mutual aid all lumped together. So it looks a little skewed. I know that some of you like the pie charts. So the next page is a pie chart of what kind of calls we have. The EMS and crashes obviously is nearly 70% of the calls. Fires, unfortunately, is only 6% of our calls.
Or not, unfortunately.
Not unfortunately, fortunately, depends how you look at it.
Yeah.
And then there's, the next 2 pages is mutual aid received from each of the neighboring departments, including Tri-County EMS. And then mutual aid given. And these are fire and EMS. So Plymouth has had some ambulance trouble this year. And so we've got a lot of medical assist where we've assisted them with an ambulance for calls.
On the prior page, the mutual aid received,
Yep.
I'm just curious about the Plymouth Fire Department line. What is automatic aid received? Why is that one automatic versus mutual? Yeah.
So it's probably a computer reporting thing.
Okay.
Right now, we don't have any automatic aid. We've been trying to put automatic aid together to help our our ISO score. Because automatic aid, if it's done on dispatch, that helps us with ISO points. And obviously, the lower we can get our ISO score,
The better the
insurance
homeowner's
rates are.
insurance for all of the residents.
Yeah. So it's another department dispatched to help us automatically. It's not something that I have to pick up my radio and call for another department. Yes. No, dispatch would have that in their console, in their computer system. And so, for instance, say a structure fire comes in at your house, and Plymouth and Polk Township would be the two closest departments to assist us with that. They would automatically dispatch the next closest agency with us on the initial alarm. Yeah, it's aid. They're not covering our calls for us. They're just coming to assist, whether it be with manpower or tankers for water supply, or if we have a big extrication, manpower and extrication equipment for a crash. Yep. The next page is what is known as the shoot time. CHUTE, and that is the time from when we are dispatched to the time our ambulance leaves. And so, as you can see, our average shoot time is 1 minute 36 seconds for,
Sorry.
no problem.
I won't confuse that with my ringtone.
For 173, and that's full-time and part-time, so that's daytime calls. That's when the crew is here. I've talked to them about working on getting that time down just a little bit lower, especially if they don't have to put turnout gear on for a crash or a fire. And I guess now would be a good time to mention that plays a big role in my thought process on where the living quarters end up, as we talk about that. We had one firefighter stumble down the last 4 or 5 steps of the stairs out here, trying to come down to go to a call in December, and one in January already, on a night call. And we have light switches upstairs, so they turn the lights on. Lights are not an issue. There's handrails coming down. It's just either they're a little groggy from not being all the way awake, or they're just in a hurry. So I was a little cautious. We did buy tread plates, the like sandpaper looking stuff, so that we can clean those stairs off and put extra tread on them to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And thankfully, neither one of them had any injuries. Slowed them down a little to get going on a call, but speed and
I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. With speed and safety in mind, that really plays into feeling a lot stronger about the living quarters on the first floor versus upstairs. And I hadn't really given that much thought originally.
Safety has to take priority over speed.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, school, e-learning day tomorrow.
And then I did average shoot time for the time of day, or actually this gives the time for the date. So it shows how it's up and down, and unfortunately, we can't control the up and down because daytime is covered by people that are here, and nighttime are covered by not here. And then obviously by the hours of the time of day, how long it takes to get the ambulance en route. So the next page is the volunteer shoot time. For 168 responses, and it's a 9 minute and 24 seconds to get an ambulance in or out for a call versus 1 minute 36. And then we put it as a graph on second to the last page. And then the very last page is a breakdown. One of the board members that received an email asking questions about a few dates and a few calls, why they weren't covered, whether they were listening to a scanner, hearing our test call, and whatnot. So we have the date, the time of day in military time, and if there was a missed call or why. So on three of those, there was just no volunteer crew, and that was for a nighttime call. There was 4 of them that was a second call. So we had a crew on a first call that couldn't staff the second ambulance for that call. And then the last one that was questioned was just the day after Christmas, and that person was driving down US 6 and had turned south on Michigan Road. It was a conscious and breathing with chest pains. And we didn't have an EMT that night. Honestly, I probably would have had dispatch tell them, even if I was in town, I would have had dispatch tell them to keep driving to Plymouth and call Plymouth. It's just, that's closer. Why have them pull over, wait on me to drive from home, get to the ambulance, get in it, and then get them loaded and still have to drive to the hospital? So we had a call earlier in the year that was a child in anaphylaxis with their throat swelling. Little different scenario. We can fix that. So, and they were not here yet. They were coming from like Sycamore Road. So by the time we got them pulled over by the liquor store at the intersection, our ambulance was pulling in to meet them. So little different scenario. But so for that email that was circulated to me, I went and looked specifically at those dates and those calls to figure out an explanation, because you guys deserve that and so does the public.
But this was listed out for the entire year, this is not just what was referenced in that email. This is for the entire year, the number of calls that were not responded to. And
That's not bad.
the total was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 4 of those were a second call.
And there was not a good way to run that report. So Chad physically went through call number after call number. So if he missed one, he might have missed one somewhere, but still,
Yes.
under 10 runs and half the year was covered by volunteers.
Not bad.
So, I don't think I have anything else for the
Okay.
joint meeting.
The only other thing that I would bring up, the town has not had their meeting to determine who is going to sit on the territory board for 2026. But I'd like to throw a date out there, since it would be the people sitting in this room, for March 23rd. That would be once Mr. Barber is back in town, I believe. And that's a Monday evening. And I'd plan to do it as a 6 o'clock territory meeting, followed by a township meeting immediately after, so that way any action that the territory takes, the township can immediately take action on. Okay, thank you. And then the fire department, I think, will let us know if there's anything that needs action prior to that we would hold a meeting on, and I would be in touch to get that scheduled. But if the town would just let me know once you guys have your meeting, who's going to be sitting on the territory board. Thank you.
Will do.
I guess since it's not a territory meeting, but all the members are here that will be on one of our part-time EMTs that is also a volunteer EMT covers somewhere between 4 and 6 nights a week. She took a deserved vacation to Florida, and we went 7 days without an EMT on nights. So just so you guys know that I
There is
will,
one person really pulling the
Yes.
weight.
so I will be urging you guys to consider starting a hiring process probably at that meeting.
Because that individual has also had some life changes
Yes. So.
since she went to Florida.
It got to the point to where New Year's Eve, Kylie and Tony worked together 12 hours a day. I asked them if they would split up and work each of them work a 24-hour shift, because I had some people that were available to drive, but no EMTs, so that I could at least cover a couple of those nights over the holidays. They were happy to do that for me, just because I needed as much of it covered as I could. So I took one call that week. And another EMT, Kylie, took a call that week, volunteer. So we didn't give up any calls because of it. It's a lot of stress on me and everybody else to hope there's not any calls then.
So the push to get to full staffing remains and,
Yes,
yeah, just, I thought that we were under that assumption anyway, that you're gonna keep looking, and
yeah.
I know you have people in training and things like that, so.
Yeah. And I guess I'm not if you guys told me to go ahead and start advertising or wait till beginning of February and start advertising, and then maybe we would have some answers and could make some plans at that March meeting. I guess that's.
So I think your direction was given at.
The direction was given for 4.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're
we've
not
hired
at
3,
4
so
yet.
I could work for one more on last year's minutes and direction. So, and I guess I can take that assumption, and then if we had 3 really good applicants or 2 really good applicants, we could make that decision at the time.
We can meet prior to that date, if need be.
Okay. Works for me. I sure appreciate it.
That would probably help alleviate no coverage calls.
Yes.
Right.
So that was our goal.
Yep.
One of the primary goals of the territory anyway was to have someone here and, right.
And I don't think anybody was expecting the call volume that we've
Yeah.
experienced that large of an increase in 1 year.
You know, I did see Union Township and they had a large call volume.
They did.
They did.
So
Yep.
I think that's probably pretty much in the area.
It's just
Yes.
where the trend is right now
Yeah.
that, I mean, and there were 2, how many today?
4.
4 calls today.
Started at 5 a.m. with a structure fire. Knock on wood, was just in a wall and contained behind a wood burner. Then we had a medical call that I drove for. Both techs went in the back because that guy was not doing well at all. And then they went to check on a pregnant female that was involved in a crash. And then we just had that down power lines a few minutes ago. So,
That's a lot of times that volunteers are
Right.
leaving.
yesterday I spent my day with 2 trips to truck centers for a recall. It's just never ends. So. And I apologize, Steve, I didn't know until this afternoon that you were gonna be here via Zoom tonight, otherwise I would've got that scanned in and emailed to you.
No, I told him I'd get it to him later this week though, so
Okay.
I can get that scanned to you, Steve. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
And I appreciate dedication and everybody's hard work, because it doesn't just come together like that on your first year. That is, to get it organized and get it to the point it is right now is a lot of work, and we really appreciate that.
Especially when we thought we had another year.
Right,
We all thought that-
exactly, it was all kind of caught with their pants down there.
So,
It's been 2025 was a trying year.
Yes. Very pleased with the way it came out for what all had to be done.
yep, appreciate you guys' support.
Okay, any other items?
Not for this meeting,
All
no.
right, so I guess I'll move to adjourn our meeting, call our meeting to an end here with the town. All in favor for the township? You got a second motion there?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Steve Barber. We're voting to adjourn
This
the
meeting.
meeting for the township.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Judy.
Judy Fisher, yeah. Steve Davenport, yes.
Make a motion to go ahead and adjourn this meeting for the township, the joint meeting.
I second that motion.
Any other discussion?
No.
Ryan, how do you vote?
Hey.
Kathy?
Aye.
Aye.